Hello, welcome to our Swift workshop. I'm Nicole, and Michelle and I are some of the founders from Long Beach Women in Tech. Long Beach Women in Tech is a community of strong and diverse women, non-binary individuals, and allies. We represent many different sectors of technology with a wide range of experience levels. As a community, we are committed to sharing knowledge and increasing our numbers in technology. We are also devoted to providing a platform for our community, especially minorities in tech and those who come from a non-traditional background. I am also the lead front-end web development instructor of Code Talk. Code Talk is a front-end web development bootcamp for women sponsored by Snapchat. We are located in Santa Monica, and it is completely scholarship-based. I've been in tech for 4 years, and I have a bachelor's degree in studio art from California State University, Long Beach. Michelle?
Hi, I'm a backend software engineer at Swift. Swift creates a platform and community to gamify running and cycling, making indoor training fun. I also graduated from UC Irvine with a bachelor's in computer science engineering.
Owen?
Hi, I'm Owen. I'm a senior software engineer at Walmart Labs. I have 10 years programming experience, and I love to share my knowledge of software development. I have a bachelor's of science in economics with a minor in computer science from Michigan State University. I learned to code in college. My major projects in my career include Disneyland, Best Buy, and now Walmart. My favorite apps to use are Strava and Duolingo. Nicole and Michelle have volunteered to help me by acting as students for the class and asking questions where I might have gone too fast or if I overlooked an explanation. Today, we're going to be doing a brief introduction on Xcode and Swift. So if anything that we go over today seems like it's unfamiliar or something we don't get enough detail on it, don't worry too much about it. This is going to be a video series where we'll be introducing other ideas, and we'll do our best to take this as educational pace as we can. So today we're going to learn about an introduction to Xcode. We'll talk a little bit about playgrounds in Xcode versus projects in Xcode. And then we'll learn a little bit about Swift statements and variables. And we're also going to learn about Swift data types. Specifically, we're going to learn about strings. So for starters, Xcode is a tool produced by Apple. You can get that from the App Store. It'll take a little while to download, so give it maybe an hour or so, probably a little bit more. And once you have it downloaded, you can go ahead and run it. You should see something a little bit like this on your first launch. So it'll pop up, and it'll say, welcome to Xcode. It'll tell you the version number here, along with the build number in parentheses. On the right, you can see a list of recent projects. So if this is your first time opening up Xcode, this area won't have anything in it, or it'll say just open up a project. So we're going to start here with get started with a playground. There's also create a new Xcode project here and clone an existing project. So the reason why we want to use playgrounds today is because playgrounds are an easy way for us to try out new ideas in code without having to go through all of the heavy lifting of creating a new Xcode project. So for an Xcode project, that would be if we wanted to create a full-on app. So something for iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, or Apple TV. But since we're just learning how to use some Swift code, we're going to use a playground. So Swift is the modern programming language released by Apple. It is open source, so we can see just about everything that they have in the code there. And it's a nice modern language. So why don't we get started with our playground? We're just going to click right here, and that'll open up our options. So looking at this, we get to choose a template for our new playground. So we can see that we've got the iOS tab selected. There's also tvOS and macOS, but we want to focus on iOS. And we have the blank template selected right now. We also have choices of game, map, or single view playgrounds. So those are things that'll let us play around with other coding frameworks in here, but we're interested in the blank playground today because we're just doing something very simple with Swift. So to create our playground, we want to select Next here, and that'll pull up our Finder. So Finder is the file navigator for Mac OS. So we see that we can change our name. So we're going to call this one Learn Swift. I want to put this into my intro class directory. So I'll hit Create down here, and that will create a new playground. So this is the playground interface for Xcode. So up at the top, we've got our familiar window options for Mac. Obviously, delete, minimize, or close, minimize, and maximize. And then we have here, this is the status bar for Xcode. So it says that it is ready, and it'll give information about the last action completed in the status bar as well. So it is ready as of today at 7:11 p.m. So next to our status bar, we have the library button. So if I click on the library button here, it'll pull up a bunch of stuff, a bunch of snippets of code that I can use. I don't tend to use this a whole lot, but it's an option that we can use. I just don't tend to use it in playgrounds very often. Now, note that when I mouse over the library button, I get a little tooltip will pop up that'll tell me exactly what it is. I'll give a little bit of context for where you are in the application. So next over, this is how we can handle the various drawers that are on Xcode. So if I click this will pull up the navigator drawer. So I can see that pulls up a bunch of information over here. And we'll get into this section a little bit more when we get into projects. So I'm going to put away that. This is going to hide or show the debug area. So the debug area is very important because it contains information that you're going to be printing to the screen. So that can help you get information about the state of your app. And it's a very useful tool to tell what's going on with your program. So we'll put that away. And then the last one here is the inspector drawer. So I can pull that out, and there's a few things here. So this is going to be the file inspector. So in the file inspector, I can see the name of my file, the location of it. So this is going to be its relative location, or even the full path of it. I can also see what particular settings that I might have for this file. And this information might change depending on the file that you have open at any given time. And then we've also got the history inspector, which doesn't have anything here because it's a brand new file. And then we have the quick help inspector. So when you select something, it may give some information about the documentation related to whatever you have selected. So we'll go ahead and hide the inspector there. And we'll start getting into the next thing down. So we've got some information here about navigation. So for our playground, we only have the Learn Swift file. So that's all that we really see. We can see that there's ways that we have sources or resources as well. But because we're working in a single file right now, we don't need to worry about that. Again, this is something that we'll get into a little bit more when we open up Xcode projects. There's also a back and forward button whenever we navigate to new files. But again, that's mostly done in projects. Then over off to the right here, we have some editor options as well as being able to add in additional editors. So those are buttons that can be useful as well. And then finally, this is our main editor window. So we have the code visible here, and I've changed my preferences to have a dark pattern. So if my window looks a little bit different from yours, I just like to protect my eyes because I look at this all day. So we have code here, and I also enabled line numbers on the side. Now, for a playground, you can see that it also has this little arrow here, along with the blue. That indicates I can click this, and it will actually run my code to that point. And so that's one of the cool things about playgrounds. It gives us the ability to run a project or run some code with very, very little overhead. So speaking of code, let's get into exactly what's here. So this is the code that we just ran. So the very first thing that we have here is an import statement. So import UIKit is a way for us to load in all of the code associated with UIKit so that we can use it. UIKit is Apple's user interface library that they have for iOS applications in particular. So that comes with a lot of very useful things that let us create UI for mobile apps. So import basically just lets us use all of that in this file. And then the next thing that we have is var stir. So I like to rename this to reading because that's a little bit easier to read. So we have var reading equals hello playground. So this is an assignment statement that declares a variable named reading, and it assigns it using the equals operator to the value of hello playground. So we can see that hello playground is a string because it's surrounded by quotation marks, and also because it's going to be highlighted in a slightly different color. So those are some of the basic ideas that are going to show up when we're just creating a brand new playground. So that's what it looks like when you first launch a playground. So today we went over what Xcode is. So it's a development environment for making iOS apps and Mac apps. We talked a little bit about playgrounds versus projects. We introduced the ideas of statements, so the import statement, and we also talked a little bit about Swift variables. I also introduced Swift strings, which we'll go into in more depth in our next video. So thank you for your time, everybody, and have a great night.
Thank you, Owen. That was really amazing. Please come back. We are going to do an entire series on how to do Swift. So if you're interested in learning more about Swift development, subscribe and like this video. More information about Long Beach Women in Tech and our individual contact information in the description.